behind the brow, into the brain of the snake. We concentrated there like white fire, white hot, very intense, getting it to the smallest point we possibly can. The smaller we make it, the more potent it becomes. So we do dharana by concentrating every bit of our psychic forces in that one tiny point. But in that tiny point is everything there is to know. Brahma himself is sitting in the smallest thing, smallest atom. So then we gradually expand it. As we get it white hot and intense, it's like the sun. We let those rays shine out everywhere. We keep that process going continuously, drawing up from the heart, concentrating it in the mind in a point, and then expanding it. And we do all the three things at once. Until we completely lose ourselves in that process. Do it, and the more concentrated it becomes, the more dynamic it becomes. As we hear the chant, we just begin to let it move the body without thinking what we're doing. No thought must intervene. So we're purifying the mind stuff. you change yourself, first thing that comes in your head, anything at all, as wild as you like, and as soft and gentle as you want to be. You move to the sound. Let the sound move you. Experience the freedom, the pure mind stuff to move you anywhere, any way, spontaneously, springing up from nowhere and going there. Just wherever it is, that's it. Just surrender to its purity. As you begin to practice this daily, begin to trust it more. Be able to control it and make it do whatever you want to do. So, if you're feeling depressed, you just get hold of some mind stuff, chuck it around a bit, mold it into a nice new shape, stick some bliss in it, whatever you want. If you want to feel miserable, well, just do that too. Whatever you want to be, that's it. Experiencing the freedom to be what you truly are. That's what we're doing. By purifying mind stuff, doing samyana on mind stuff. And that exercise you can do any time in your bedroom. You can whirl around the room like a whirling dervish. No one's going to look at you. I think that is the end of section B. No, it isn't quite the end. There's Nada Bandha. I don't know if we have enough time to do Nada Bandha. I won't read the mantra on it to save time. Nada Bandha. Bandha means control, by the way. Some of you may have been in on the first instructions on chanting where we did Mula Bandha, which was the control of the the anal muscles and drawing them up in order to relax the muscles in the top of the throat. Well, this is Nada Bandha. Now, Nada Bandha explained, the mantra explained, is the union of the psychological and physiological forces with the vibrating nadam. Nadam means different things. The best interpretation of nadam you could call is supreme music or sound current, or it could be rhythmical vibration, rhythmical. If you get into nadam, when your voice is in nadam, it's pulsating like one of those big trucks. There's something in it like a membrane is slack, but it's vibrating with nadam, supersonic sound current. So you see, it takes on a kind of vibration which you're not putting into it. The universe is putting into it. That's what we call control of Nada Bandha. In other words, you're in control of it, but you're not in control of it because really the universe is controlling it. But you're in control of it to the extent that it is vibrating with the cosmic sound. So you could say that nadam really means any vibration which is in tune with the cosmic sound. And now, control of that nadam is putting that on the center of the head, in the center of the head, between the eyes. So straight down from the top of the head and in through here and come to a point inside your head. You can look up there with your eyes. When you've got your eyes closed, you can look into the center of your head and you concentrate that sound there. Whatever sound it is, and it doesn't matter, it could be your own voice, it could be a chant, it could be a high-pitched sound, it could be a refrigerator, it could be anything that's in tune that has that gullet sound in it. It's like, if you listen carefully, you can hear it. Something like, wee, 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 like 10,000 frogs out there. Who can hear it? See, when you meditate and you get into this state, even just in a group of people like this, and you just listen, it's like listening to the water we did last week, dripping off the roof. If you really listen, it's like some refrigerator going on there. Perhaps it's the electric clock. Whatever it is, maybe it's the electric clock. It's going, wing, wing. There's a rhythm to it. So whatever we're looking, we pick up that, we get the control of it. So one feels this union with the supreme music, and the entire physical existence of the body is transformed into the existence of the nadam, the sound current, or you could call it life force. Life force is coming through us, through this tree of life, and it's making a noise. If you listen to the noise it makes inside your own brain, you're hearing nadam. So respiration in this control of nadam is stopped, or practically stopped. See, when you take a breath in, you hold it. It's just like you're listening. When you really listen, you stop your own breath, you know. Have you noticed that? When you go to a cemetery at night, and you're looking for ghosts, or whatever it is, you say, hey, it's really quiet here, isn't it? Don't breathe. If you breathe, I can't hear. Can't hear the spirits. Whatever's dancing around on those graves. Quiet. You hold your breath. So that's what, your respiration is stopped then, and all these finer forces are awakened. See, whenever you go into this experience, you never want to listen, you hold your breath. And that awakens all the finer forces. Now here the physiological and psychological forces are united then with this all vibrating nadam. Every sound you hear becomes part of nadam then. It's quite freaky. Because whatever you listen to, sound of water, like we were the other week, or trucks, electric clock, refrigerator, people talking, you know, they're all vibrating in the nadam. Atoms in the wall, whatever. Hum of the city, sound of waterfalls, the central heating, everything. guitar, chanting, it's all nada. Now, as in the presence of music, a snake dances, so in the presence of this supreme music, the destructive psychic forces renounce their poisonous effects and dance with this music. The entire universe is felt vibrating in Nadam. Innumerable visions and spiritual manifestations are experienced at this state. This state cannot be described. It can be only experienced. It can't be described, but it can be experienced. So it is real, because it can become an experience. So what we're doing then in what we call Nada Bandha is an exercise which we have been doing of course, if you know what we've been doing here, every time we meet, we've been doing that exercise. Remember, I haven't said any name, I just said draw the consciousness up, concentrate it at the point here, look inside your head and feel the whole stars and all the universe vibrating inside the brain and what have you. And in that sense, that's the exercise for Nada Bandha. Now, this exercise is a preparation for some other thing, see, which comes later in Rumframp Yoga, called Nada Brahman. Nada Brahman and Saguna Brahman, which we'll go into later in another section of the course. But we first have to practice these basic steps, see, because until we get control, bandha, of Nada Bandha, we still can't do anything fancy, we've got to learn to walk before we can run. And before we can do the higher form of what I call higher indifference that we were talking about earlier, we have to be able to do samyana. And before you can do samyana, you've got to do pratyahara, dharana, and dhyana. See, so until we learn to meditate properly, concentrate properly, see, and don't forget, once you get the point there, concentrated in dharana, it's no use expanding it until you've got the problems out the way, because all you do is expand the problem. The mind, whatever's in the mind, if you expand the mind, you expand the problem with it. That's the problem with drugs, you see, because all the drugs do is they expand the mind. It doesn't do any work on yourself. Unless you really see something and you really get some realization insights and do some homework, you become bumped down to everyday life and you look out and say, gee, oh God, how the hell do I cope with this? When I was high in the drugs, it was great, but now I'm back to normal. Back to the same old silly self I always was and with the same problems I always had. You see, so just blowing up the mind and blowing the mind, as it were, and expanding it is no use. You've got to first get the purification of the mind and get those problems out of it, those conflicts out of it, to get it pure. Then when you blow the mind up, you get some benefit, because you're not blowing up your problem. You're not expanding. If you have an ego, for instance, and you blow up the ego, you still got just a big ego. See? You can have an ego as big as the universe. And that is the highest state you can go with the ego, to have an ego the size of the universe. And then eventually you've got to say, well, my ego is so big, it includes everybody else's ego as well, right? See, and that's a form of humility in a way, but it isn't. See, because it's just the highest a human can go without losing his ego. And this next state above that is to get rid of the ego altogether. So there are very many traps on the way that we have to be careful of. So we'll do each step at a time. And so now you've got 3 exercises to do, right? Dancing around like a snake, to any sound that you want to manifest in your mind, and doing the growing of the brain cells through stimulation. All these follow law number 1 by the phase 1 of Rum Frum Yoga is all to do with the one law. Brain cells grow towards the areas of greatest stimulation, and that's true of the mind too. Wherever you stimulate the mind, the consciousness and the attention will go there to that. So these are all exercises, even in mudra, which is the effect of the psychic mechanism upon the physical manifestation. So we've got to get control of these things so that we understand when we find ourselves doing something with our body, that we've got to do something to the mind stuff to stop it if we don't like it, or if it's not evolving us. Then the Samyana and Nada Bandha. Now, any of you want to go deeper into this, I've got some page numbers from this Patanjali's mantras, translated by my good colleague Dr. Mishra, and have done a good job here of translating these mantrams and explaining the meaning. The page numbers on mudra, the page numbers on Yoga Sutra, it's called Yoga Sutras, written by Patanjali many hundreds of years ago, a great illuminated seer who put down in words descriptions of these states and how to arrive at getting control of this mind stuff. Well, I think that's getting late now. We're on the second tape, are we?
We're all right, we're on the side if you want to.
Well, I think we've had enough exercises, haven't we? Are there any questions?
Yeah, what's the page numbers of that?
Well, we're getting some of these printed, so if you like, you can get a leaflet, and there'll be page numbers right throughout each phase, referring to the different exercises that you can go get the mantra, if you like, and repeat it, chant it. Nothing. No difference. Om is just a human way of expressing something that cannot be expressed by humans. In other words, nadam basically is vibrating in everything, but your Om is a poor imitation of it. But you can tune into it. It's like an artist painting a sunset. You know, it's never the same. The sunset's the original, and any artist who can paint it as a sunset man has to be God. So we have to be a little humble when we chant Om and say, yeah, well, it's a poor copy.
Concentrate in dharana, that also stimulates the
definitely, it's another exercise in the mind stuff. The first exercise was to stimulate the physical vehicle, see, which is obeying mind stuff. You can make your brain cells grow. Doctors will tell you that you got all the brain cells you're ever going to have when you're about 6, you know. But it's not true. Yogis will tell you you can do anything with your body if you want to put the consciousness into it. Now, you might not want to. You might be a little lazy, like me. I don't care much about the body. Because I feel if I keep it in tune with nadam or whatever it is, it'll look after it, you know, it'll keep my body in tune.
What is the effect of having more brain cells?
Well, it enables you to handle the cosmic light without freaking out. I mean, this is more potent than any drug. Remember, consciousness, pure consciousness, is more potent than any drug known to man. Now, when you do take a drug, all that does is dampen down the normal nervous system, so that you do experience what consciousness is, you know, in the sense that the normal inhibitions on consciousness is removed, and you get glimpses of something very potent. But it's not the drug, it's the consciousness. See, all you're doing is gradually, in taking a drug, is getting rid of a few of the inhibitions. And You can feel it coming on. If you take a drug, you feel your nervous system beginning to get scrambled, and you see an ordinary thing like a guitar and it just melts or whatever, but it's still the ordinary guitar. All that's melting is something in your consciousness. Because the normal perceptual vehicle is being scrambled, just like a telegram. You know, when you get a telegram that comes through Western Union, it might be completely scrambled and is meaningless, you know, or a completely different meaning than the sender wrote. This is like our nervous system when we take a drug. So you can make it into anything. Make look at an angel, you'll see a devil. You know, it doesn't. That sort of thing. But it's consciousness that's the real drug. This is it's very potent. Not even God can make a more potent drug than himself.
You're talking about filling up your consciousness and then allowing it to disperse.
These are exercises for gaining control.
Is that a balance of getting so much in your consciousness and allowing it to all go?
If you practice this regularly, yes, you will experience what consciousness really is. Because you'll be looking at it if you really become mindful, full. The mind becomes totally full, there's nothing else to see except consciousness. That's all that's left. If the mind becomes totally empty, there's nothing else left there to see except consciousness. The dualism is wiped away. You see, it comes to this point that everything is nothing, and nothing is everything. Sounds funny. A few mental tricks, you can do it. You just play tricks on yourself, you know, until all these words just become like a lot of gibberish. What's everything? Who knows what everything is anyway? What's nothing? Who knows what nothing is? Has anyone ever become nothing? They're just words.